demand for steel casting products is increasing in the heavy industries such as construction, mining, and railways. How do you see the current evolution of this market, and what are the major factors that are driving its growth?
Well, I'm representing Datre. As you know, we are in a mid-size segment. Uh, as a whole, to start with, the foundry business is India is I think it's the second largest in the world in terms of data orientation. But also there are different categories in the foundry business. Someone doing with cast iron, someone doing with ductile iron, somebody with non-ferrous. For us, it is purely steel foundry. In the steel foundry, we are doing something related to mining, construction, and railway products. Now, if you see, basically in Calcutta, where our factory is located, there mostly the steel casting are basically related to the components which are required by the wagon industry. So this had been a very, it's been going on for since independence. Okay, because the Indian railways, where a lot of castings are required, particularly the steel castings, it has two categories. One is for the passenger segments, and the other one is for the wagons. In Calcutta, all through these years, it has been only the supply to the wagon industry. And there are big players who are who are serving this industry for quite a long time. Now, after maybe 10 years down the line, there is a paradigm shift which is happening gradually, what we can understand. To take advantage of the passengers, which had all through been controlled by, say, ICF, MCF, and RCF, the government agencies. Now there had been a demand for upgrading, as you can see from the news stories everywhere. Vande Bharat, upgrading the railway coaches. So a lot of things are happening there. And for that, in a coach, you need specific safety components. Okay. Now, the technology overall for the people like us who are into the mid segment, as we are doing the railway passenger couplers, but that is not for wagons. Wagons, it has an archaic process and systems going on for since independence. But the changeover which is happening since last 10 years, it has to do a lot of things with the upgradation of the trains, coaches, by improving the speed and also the safety. So there lies this safety components where we are partnering with the major OEMs in India, and lot of development on the R&D, everything is happening. From our side, it's a metallurgical challenge and upgradation program is going on, and it is a very lengthy process. It is not an easy process because since it's a safety item, so it starts with the design work. Then once the design is there, then we go for a pilot lot, and every process is controlled by RDSO. Okay, they are the authority, government agency. And then after that, once the pilot is ready, which again takes almost 2 years, if I'm not wrong, to start with, then uh, then it goes for the trial. Okay, and then after it goes to trial, then again it takes some time to get the field report after running so 1,000 kilometers, or maybe they have their own benchmark story, and they try to find out what is happening, and again the change comes back. So by the way, it keeps on happening. The process takes a lot of time to a point where you can start production in volumes, because until unless you make something in volumes, the return on capital doesn't come back. Now the ground storage here, mostly they are mid-size segments, but I think the volume what we are looking at, the growth story which is happening, We need many players in this segment. But the thing is that they must have an engineering vision. They must have that patience, and that sort of mindset has to be there. If somebody has to put money today and think that tomorrow everything will fall in place, this is not going to happen. So this is the story here. So in reality, for us, railways is a big opportunity in the domestic sector. Similarly, in the construction equipments, again, which is also because construction happens when it has a direct link with the GDP, and the construction machinery also need castings out of steel. There also we are partnering with OEMs, machine manufacturers, and we are looking now targeting, because the experience what we had so far in India, to have a better margins and also to broaden our supply scope, we are looking now as an export opportunity. Now post COVID, as the China US trade war started, now everybody is thought and thinking really in this fashion that there should be a second near shoring or French shoring. So, and since we already had a foundry background, so everybody is trying to find some sort of a synergy to activate these attributes what we are having and to make it a success story out of India. But here lies a catch. Now, China over a period of time also have upgraded the system and process to that extent where they have become a major supply partner to major OEMs, like the machine manufacturers from Japan, machine manufacturers from US, machine manufacturers from Western Europe. Now they have their own set of benchmark. We had never been to that category yet in India. Now we have started this process. But my personal experience in working with a Japanese company at the moment, also a German company and US company, things are not easy because their relevant quality benchmark is so high. So you have to go step by step. They are not going to just simply say, oh, you supply to Indian OEM means it is acceptable to us. No. The first thing is that the first step is that since I have been doing in India for this equipment space, they have picked us up. Now the second phase is coming up, which is in the ongoing process, is to how to go and relate ourselves to that, to beating that benchmark of their standards. Once we can go there, then the supply will start and the field reports will come. So it's a long run process.
Mhm.
Okay, and they won't budge from any inch from out of that thing. You can't make them easy falling prey to, yes, this is how it happens here, so please accept. This is not going to happen, and this doesn't happen. So we are fighting to those standards, and being a very small company in the mid-size segment, it is not easy because the changes and the process, they might say you have to bring this equipment. I can give you a small thing. We do the radiography process to find the casting quality. We do manual checking of the dimensions, but they are doing 3D checking through robots rather. Now that sort of, now they might be looking why I don't have a 3D scanner robot in my system. Okay, so that's a problem. So, and they also know it, that it's not easy. So that transition phase is going on, but the real story will come a bit later if we all can succeed and put our minds in. Now the third front is the mining. Now mining also, very few in India do mining because domestically mining is not a very strong base for foundry business, to be very precise. Because in India the mining means it's iron ore and coal. Okay, but in our sector what we are working with the OEMs is basically for copper mining, gold mining. Now these are very different story because it doesn't happen here. It happens abroad and long distance from India. But very few OEMs are trying to get that and nurture that product base. And there we also have partnered with them, working for last 7-8 years. And the story is that till now we have succeeded, but it's a long way to go. So coming back to your primary question, that that there is a global opportunity, because in it is we are doing minuscule to the global contribution ratings. So we are doing minuscule, nothing is there for us, even in exports. And since the government and the Indians have understood that beyond your domestic market, you also need to export. The thing what I try to mean is that if you do some value added products, there you can have a better realization and you have a better export opportunity, and that as a whole will give India a good space for all the industries, because as IT has done, it has given some brand value. So this can also give a brand value and give us that sort of a leverage as on the manufacturing sector, that manufacturing also can do well and
Mhm.
widely accepted in the global context. Truly speaking, from my personal perspective, see, government is doing everything, if you ask me, because what are the challenges of a when you are doing into manufacturing? In manufacturing for foundry, the main cost is the raw material cost. Second cost is the energy cost, because you are running furnaces. Okay. Third is the labor. When we talk of labor, it has to be the skill we are looking at. I can tell you, we are working closely with ITIs locally where we are stationed. But the problem is, younger generation, they are not feeling interested to join a manufacturing company. Okay. And we are doing quite well with the women in the light engineering like electronics, but in the heavy engineering like and the solid and this type of hard engineering, where we need more I mean the male candidates, they are actually, because there we find a different syndrome at the moment, because that's a different story. I can explain. I can explain. That's a different story. Because why the young generation is not interested and joining, because it's because of the environment. Okay. Secondly, the challenges is the way they're dreaming their life and the way the hard realities is. So it's a huge gap. So we are not able to, if the government has to do something on this to make them feel interested so that they can come to us, because as a small entity I cannot attract on, and we cannot pay like an ITP person. Okay. So these are the small things. Okay. Next is the rules and regulations. It's totally, there are lots of rules and regulations in running a factory. So we should, as a business head, I should concentrate more on the customers. The focus area is the product applications, the product designing, how I can increase my, yes, another thing, the productivity is very low in India. Okay. In the global perspective, in a manufacturing industry, the powerhouses, there the productivity is almost 50% to the compared to the big industry. Here in India, we are operating at 25% compared to a big industry. So we are losing a lot of money. We can't make the margins. And why we're losing this? Because we are taking so much time in inculcating that knowledge, that social concept, that if you do this, you can have a dream life. So then the challenge is how to, he has to read a lot. Now, suppose in a mobile, if somebody, he has to feel interest. Okay. Because the resources is in everybody's hand today. But how you utilize those resources is very important. Now, suppose a welder is working. Now, welder is very precise job. Okay. There are a lot of upgradation program we try to give to them, but they have to think beyond their means. We cannot put them everything in there. So I think it's a social challenge as a whole. It's not the government only can do it. It's a social challenge between 20 to 30 years, where we are asking the democratic factor to be our advantage. I think it is getting negative now, because they are not interested. They're going for the government jobs, and that precious time they're losing in not getting that sort of skill, which can give us the real output between 30 to, when is 30 to 40 industry grow as a whole. So this is
Mhm.
this thing. So second is the technology. If government can bring the right technology, help the small companies, because we have to do by trying things. If we have a ready-made technology from Germany or from Western Europe, US or Japan, then I know it is very hard. A small company cannot get that technology on its own, so government can do something on that. Third is marketing, where they can give a marketing we have a lot of trade fairs, but I'm not sure who is gaining from that. Okay, we have to deep dive into the concept of going down, because the problem lies at the bottom segment, not the top segment. The big players, the middle big players, they can solve the problem on their own. They know how the story unfolds. But what about this part? And here, if we can infuse that sort of energy and make the ecosystem running, then only we can grow as a whole. The inclusivity growth what everybody is looking at is not happening. So this is from my side what I am feeling on day-to-day exercise, what I'm doing today.
Varied industries have different kind of requirements when it comes to steel casting. So how can the players customize their products as per the unique requirements of heavy industries such as construction, mining, and other sectors?
The challenge is always there. If you want to become big in a competitive world, whatever you are doing, you have to do something different. That's the first story. Okay. Now, when we started this thinking what we were to do, our challenge was we had a foundry which was built for making industrial valves. But when we started our journey with me, we thought that we cannot do valves. Okay. Because by this time, when we joined after the factory was set up 30 years back, and I joined about 15, 16 years back, so the whole story had changed by that time. So we had to find out and scout the exact product which can give me an engineering value, a margin, and also can fit in my curated production line. It was a great challenge. Okay. Now, if I go to a customer and say that I am going to pick some products which fits in my system, customer won't be interested. Customer says, then who is going to do my other things? And why should I increase another vendor for me? So it was a real challenge initially for us. Okay. Secondly, we cannot improve our volumes because you need a cash involvement. Another challenge for them, the MSME, because in running a manufacturing where your business cycle is almost 100 days, so to scale your production, you need a lot of raw materials. So that's a challenge to put in more money. So initially, what I can understand is that let us not think big. Let us try to pick and choose some small products. I think there are a lot of foundries which are not doing well in my segment. They are not able to do it properly, but they have a foundry. Because our thing is like this, putting a foundry means front-loaded money, because it's a capital investment. Okay. So when it is a capital investment, the bank loans are there and everything is there. And then you need time to realign your production process, realign and get a right product from the market, fit into the system process, and then you need the working capital. By the time the return is not coming. So what we find that if the government can pick up those foundries or can put a platform in place where these foundries, because I may have the strength of putting a factory, but I don't have the further strength of doing something different. So if we can find something collaborative, now I may have a mind of doing something engineering value, but I don't have a money to put a foundry. So if we can collaborate among each other, okay, I think maybe a partner from the engineering side, a foundry is there sitting idle or maybe going to NCLAT for a loose buyout. So there we can utilize these things, that the foundry is available. The particular person, if he finds that I can do something, then how we can coordinate with those existing resources, because we need a lot of resources. So it's a great challenge. But the thing is that somebody who spends money on a foundry already has spent most of his finances in the true sense. So he will look for returns, but the journey starts there itself, because now you need a person who has to put his minds and his total mind like a software developer to produce a product. If the technology is not ready made, even the if the technology is there, it's not easy to copy paste. It's not easy. You have to do reverse engineering. Okay, so there lies the passion and the this thing. So how we can collaborate, how we can do things, that's a matter of concern for everybody. If we can manage to break that equation, nothing better than that.
Mhm.
There are two ways of looking at it. The biggest challenge is the environmental challenge. uh, Sustainability from the business point of view, if you are working with OEMs, like we survived the COVID because we were working with OEMs, so we are not thinking about orders, because orders will come. The first challenge is to build the product and to sustain it to that level. Then you have to apply the supply capacity, so you are safe, because you know your order will come, because you can see what that major company is doing, because because everything is transparent. His shares is there in the open market, and so you can see what is happening. You can see the balance sheet and you can plan yourself. So sustainability, from there also you can work on it. So that is one part of the story. Second, on the carbon footprint. See, we are already using it in some way or other. Wow, we are using reusable scrap. We are getting the scrap from the steel cutting and this thing, and we are using it. We are putting into the product. So we are doing some sort of recycling in that sense. Okay. Secondly, the sand used to do earlier, the sand which used to make for the molds, that was acid based. Over a period of time, we have changed the chemicals. Now we have put it as neutral based. Okay. So by putting the neutral based, the sand is disposable for any means. Earlier it was difficult. Secondly, the workers who are working with this, there's no gas, it's neutral. So we are taking protection of the workers, that. Okay. And third is basically the furnaces what we are running, particularly the heat treatment furnaces, that can run on gas. But since we still don't have a gas supply like the western part in eastern part, we are putting on the we are not able to use the gas supply, and all are coal fired energy what we are using at the moment. Fourth is we can do is basically water conservation. Now use a lot of water because of cooling the uh, furnaces, and also we do the quenching operations where the after from the furnace it has to be quenched. So there also we are trying to do the rain conservation, and we have done some exercise on that, and we are trying to take that rainwater and recirculate it. Next is not on the machine parts, but we are trying to find out mostly on the admin buildings and all the solar, and where our in our guest house where those are, where the executive stays. We are trying to think that put the solar. So in that way, we are trying to do something, and also on the sustainability, on the health, and these things. Our greenery on our this thing. What do you call it? Plantations. A lot of plantations are there. A lot of greens are there. And since we are in a semi-rural belt, we are putting a lot of trees, plantations. So these are happening. So we are trying to build an ecosystem within ourselves and make it more comfortable. Then we do a lot of health checkups for the family, for the workers, and all those stuffs. So in that way, we try to sustain, try to have that sort of so that, because it's a hard work. Okay. And also we are trying to from the last year we bought some uh, industrial fans for cooling of the workers, because in the hot summer, as I said earlier, productivity is going down. uh, Simply it is going down, and during the hot summer there's hardly any productivity. So we try to do a lot of maintenance jobs during that time. Okay.
Mhm.
But we have to find a way out how we can make the place cooler so that the productivity increases. So
All right.
these are the sustainability programs we are taking, and phase by phase we are trying to put the plants inside the factory. So we have taken an exercise on that. We are working on that. First phase failed because the plant didn't grow because of the dust generation. The second phase we are now again planting because the winter season has come. We are trying to build the plants which can grow inside, take the dust, and also can grow without the sunlight. So these are the, you can see those things are happening. So we are in touch with all this resource people, and trying to do something on that front also.